welcome to another week of Sambo iRacing. It's week 2, season 2, 2024. We're in the Ray Formula Ford FF1600 at Summit Point. It should be a great week of racing once again because this is a fun little track. It's got a couple of high-speed corners. It's not overly technical, and you can learn the track in about 10 to 15 minutes. So hopefully this guide will come in handy for you to do that. If you are new to the channel, thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe. I really do appreciate the support from you guys. What we do is we do a lap slow down from the cockpit where I show you the braking markers, throttle inputs, that sort of thing. And then we go to chase cam for a full speed run through. And then we're back in the cockpit one final time for a full speed run through with the driving line on. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get in the cockpit. Okay, here we are in the cockpit. And please do make sure that if you are loading the test session, do so by clicking on the officials, finding the FF1600 Rookie Series, and go to Schedule and start it from that test session. That way we're going to be on the exact same track conditions. It is rather warm this week. It's 36 degrees. I do notice when I look on YouTube and I check out some of the track guides, they are using cooler tracks which are faster. So always make sure, whoever you're watching, you can go onto Garage 61 and see their telemetry, and also make sure that they've got an overlay that shows the track conditions, otherwise they may be cheating. Little word to the wise there. So we're in fourth gear. We're over on the left hand side, and what we're looking for is the 3 cone, which is just here. Now as I hit the 3 cone, I'm going to brake really hard in a straight line up to about 100%. Wow. So I'm giving it the full 100 kilos on my load cells in a straight line, so I've not moved my wheel in any way, shape or form. As I want to start to turn in towards the apex, as always, trail it off, drop it down into second when the revs are at the right stage, get down to the apex, drop it into first, and then immediately start building back up on the throttle. So I'm now at 100% throttle, nice and early. Hold it over to the right hand side, up to second, up to third gear. We are going to go up to fourth gear here because we get on the throttle nice and early. And what we're looking for now is the end of this entry road or exit road, whatever it is, on the right hand side. As I get to the end of this roadway, I'm going to give it a quick blip on the brakes, just up to 28%, as you can see there. Start turning in. I'm really lifting on the throttle. I'm just keeping a tiny bit of maintenance throttle on. And as I get to the apex, I'm going to drop it down to third gear. As I hit the curbing quite aggressively, I'm going to start building up to 100% throttle. And I'm trying not to go in the sandpit on the right-hand side. So as you can see, I just missed that there. Keeping it floored up to fourth gear on the blue light. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to keep it in fourth, but we're just going to do a slight lift. Well, quite a big lift, but briefly, once I get almost alongside that billboard on the left-hand side. So as I get to it, I'm going to give it a lift. I'm going to try and cut across as much as possible to the right-hand side, getting as close to that curbing as possible, and I'm straight back on the full throttle. And what I'm going to do is leave it on there until I hit this darker patch. It's I race in VR, so you can actually see it's a little hill thing, and just before I get to the rise of it, I'm going to get on the brakes, again, very hard, up to 85%, as you can see there, but in a dead straight line. And then only as I move down and left towards the apex do I start trailing it off. I drop it down to third gear, down to second gear, down to first gear, and now I'm fully back on the throttle, holding it close to the left-hand side as possible. Now the next braking marker, it's exactly the same as for the V's at this bit. So on the left-hand side there, you can see these muddy tracks on the asphalt there. They are there permanently. That's not something I put on myself. And as I get there, I'm going to give it a quick blip of brake, only up to about 40%. I'm going to trail it off. And as I hit the apex, I'm going to build back up to 100% throttle. I'm now going to hold it on the throttle all the way until the final corner, corner 10. So go up to second gear. We're really fighting with the car, trying to keep it over to the right-hand side, back over to the left-hand side, up to third gear. Now, we're going to take this next corner at full throttle, and the only way I can find to do this is to do a bit of a Scandi flip to go into it. So as you can see, my car's moving over to the left. I want to move it over to the right, so I give it a big flick of right hand down, and that just moves the weight of the car, and it just gets a bit of oversteer. Now, I counter that oversteer by putting a little bit of left hand down so that I'm in the right position to clip this curbing and use the camber of the track to make it through. That sends me out to the left hand side, but that's fine. Up to 4th gear on the blue light. And then the final braking marker. Now, this is a tough one to try and judge right. You just sort of get a feel for it. But for me, it's as you're coming up here, you can see it's sort of where the darker track is. I brake a little bit after that darker track begins. So as I get here, I do a quick blip on the brakes, up to about 66%. I come off the throttle. I'm keeping, what, 5% maintenance throttle. It's just the weight of my foot, really. I drop it down into 3rd gear, and I'm looking to clip this curbing on the right-hand side. Let the car drift out. You don't want to go in the sandpit. Keeping it full throttle. And over and across the line for a 1:15.249. Now, I did a dozen or so laps here. And the 1:15.249 was my fastest legal lap. I did do a 0.1, but unfortunately I did get an off track because I just touched a bit of grass where I shouldn't have. So a 1:15.249 was as fast as I could go in my dozen or so laps. So now we'll go back to chase cam for a full speed run through. Okay, let's run through at full speed. Looking for the 3 cone, brake hard in a straight line, trail it off nicely, down to 2nd, down to 1st, get back on the throttle, up to 3rd, up to 4th, looking for the end of this exit road on the right hand side, quick blip of brakes, down to 3rd gear on the apex, back on the throttle, keep out the sandpit, over to the left up to 4th gear, big lift, back on the throttle, get on the brakes, trail it off, down to 2nd, down to 1st. Back on the throttle, holding it over to the right as best as possible. Fighting any oversteer that you get. Over to the left. Scandi flip. Up to 4th gear on the blue. Now looking for a quick brake and lift. Down to 3rd. Slide it through. Up to 4th. Over across the line, park up and have a sandwich. Right, one last time from the cockpit with the driving line on. Here we are for the final run through. Thanks once again for watching. I've been Sambo iRacing, and I'll see you again next week.